Our last very special session is going to be on communication capabilities. Mr. Nabil Maalouf is a media trainer and crisis management specialist. Mr. Maalouf has been a familiar face in advertising and PR in Lebanon and Levant and the GCC for more than 30 years, with a track experience managing PR and communications for local and international entities. Please welcome Mr. Maalouf.
إن مقولة وراء كل رجل عظيم امرأة انمسحت اليوم. ما خليتوا شيء. I really would like to say thank you, ladies, for making these sessions amazing, for sharing your experiences. But at the same time, I would like to say, and we cannot replace وراء كل رجل عظيم امرأة بوراء كل امرأة عظيمة رجل yet. لأنه ليلة كتير اللي ذكروا الرجال except for the lady from Egypt on the last panel ذكرت جوزها. أما الباقيين فكان ما في وجود للرجال أبدا. I hope one day رح نرجع نقعد بهالسيشن ونقول إن الرجل والمرأة سوياً سيغيرون العالم إلى الأفضل. وبعتقد هيدا هو المطلوب. طالما في جزء من المجتمع يصارع على السلطة رح نضلنا بهالصراع اللي أوقات رح يكون فيوتايل عقيم ولن يؤدي إلى النتيجة المرجوة. اسمي نبيل معلوف وأنا I'm a media trainer and crisis management specialist. أنا بدرب سياسيين رجال أعمال CEOs, presidents of the republic, members of parliament. I train them on how to deliver powerful speeches. واليوم تعلمت منكم كتير. سمعت قصص مؤثرة جداً. سمعت قصص بتحمس كيف بدنا نتقدم نحو المستقبل، ولكن اللي ما سمعته ما هي خطة الطريق لكي نحقق ما تريد أن تحققنا. ما سمعناها هيدي. And I think this should be on your next agenda مديحة. لازم ينحط خطة طريق لوين بده ينوصل. Because men in power have destroyed the world. I don't know what women in power will do. Because when you reach a powerful position, things do change. And it's a challenge for men as well as for women because we are all human beings at the end. رح بلش بسؤال كثير عم ينطرح بالمحاضرات العالمية حتى بالتجمعات السياسية من كونغرس لسنت بيسألوا what is a woman؟ وبعتقد كلكم شفتوا what is happening on social media وما حدا بيجاوب. ما حدا بيجاوب. Nobody dares to answer what is a woman. So أنحني اليوم أمامكم سيداتي لأنكم قلتم بصراحة ما هي المرأة وما ممكن أن تكون المرأة. بشكركم على جرأتكم وعلى تعلقكم بأنثويتكم لحتى الأنثوية تحارب كما الرجولة تحارب worldwide. هالسيشن رح تساعدكم إنكم تكونوا أكثر محضرين to be more confident speakers. And confidence is not about only the content of what you're going to say. Confidence is about how you say it. And when I say how you say it, we have seen many presenters today. And I think few of them stood out in your mind as more confident than others. بدكم تسألوا حالكم ليه؟ والسبب. There were amazing speakers that made a crucial mistake. كانوا عم يحكوا without interruption. You cannot follow through. ما فيكم تتابعوا and you cannot retain anything. بينما كان في people who spoke for much less and left a more powerful impact. And you need to ask yourselves, why? You gave us a very powerful word that is ethics. كمان that stood out because it was the only time that somebody mentioned ethics on this panel. Because power without ethics is a disaster. It is a disaster. So thank you for bringing this to the table. And this is a very strong soundbite. What we call soundbite, this will leave a mark. And if there are journalists among us, they will take this as a very strong and powerful message. Irrespective of what was said around it, this will stand out. So you have to be more confident. And today I will focus a lot على the body language. كنا عم نشوف أكثر الناس seated, in a seated position. And seated is limiting by nature. So if you are standing on stage, you can move around. You can make people all across the room see you, and you can look at them as well and engage with them. Whereas, if you are seated, you are bound to look at the person asking the question. You are confined to this. علقنا شو بدنا نعمل? And the way you are seated, and all the ladies were extremely discreet and decent. And this brings a story to mind. واحدة من الأسباب اللي سقطت فيهم هيلاري كلينتون بأول دورة انتخابية لها ضمن الحزب الديمقراطي كانت إنه she showed a cleavage بين من هون شوي كانت مفتوحة القميص أكثر من اللازم. And you know who voted against Hillary Clinton? Women in the US. They made her fail because of that. It was not men. Probably men were happy, but not women. So one needs to pay attention to details. What you are wearing, how you are dressed, what you are doing, how you are behaving, what you are saying. It's all extremely important. When you stand on stage, it's very important to check the background. Madiha was very smart today. لبست أبيض على background أسود. So she stood out. And this is extremely important. I wore black because the slides behind me are white. I can't stand out. Whereas just imagine if you are wearing black on black background, what will happen? You will see just teeth that are moving, and this has happened in reality to a friend of mine on LBC. He was hosted during the elections, and this guy has a dark complexion, and this guy is a statistician. And he was working for the elections. Everybody was looking to have some information from this guy. Dark complexion, black shirt, black suit, on a black background. You could only see the teeth. Nothing else, and that was scary. Nobody listened to the statistics because it was complete distraction. So we need to watch out for the background. We need to watch out for the glass of water because this is extremely important to keep next to you. This is mine. Because things can go wrong and your mouth can dry out. So you need always to keep a glass of water next to you. These are basics, but we miss the basics. And sometimes we miss the basics and we just need to remind people of it. And last but not least, any stage appearance requires rehearsal. You should never, ever step on a stage without rehearsing. Never, ever. You're committing suicide. It is suicide. Please, you all have cameras now. During my days, we used to be scared to answer the phone without asking permission at home when we were young. Now, at 13 years of age, my son was playing games with people in the Netherlands, in the US, not asking any permission from anybody. The world is at your hand. And your best companion can be your phone. So please, videotape yourselves before you make any type of public appearance. It can be an interview. It can be any type of presentation, internal or external. There is no formal or informal presentation. It is all important for your career. It's all important for your growth. So you need to always pay attention to that. And many of you spoke about the support system. The support system is not only confined to females. I've been supporting women in the region, key decision makers, since 15 years in this career. I've helped them grow. I've helped them achieve wonders, and I'm so proud of them. So support system is not confined to females as I tried to, or as a grasp from the discussion. Please do not exclude us out. We can still help you. The experience that we have accumulated throughout the ages is at your disposal if you want to. If you want to learn by yourselves, that's your call. That's your call. We cannot do any more. And finally, we will tackle a few points about how to handle difficult situations. Who has been interviewed and was faced with a difficult question amongst the audience? Anyone? Did it happen to you? Can you tell us what happened? So Madiha is saying that she shifted or diverted the question to something else. And this is a way, but it is not the best way. There are much more powerful ways to handle difficult situations. Before I go there, I would like to tell you also one thing. Whenever you're on stage, especially women in heels, whatever can go wrong will go wrong. This is Murphy's Law. So if you're reliant on a presentation, the presentation can fall apart and the system can break down. Your speaker can just doesn't work. Or your heels might break. Or your shirt might break. And I can show you pictures of what can happen. So this is the Prime Minister of Britain. This is the famous actress with her zipper that broke. So you can see things can go wrong. In my case, for example, I have an extra suit, an extra shirt in my car, just in case anything goes wrong. I spilled something on myself during lunch, coffee, whatever. So you always have to take precautions. Always be ready. Whatever can go wrong might go wrong. Remember this, and you'll be safe when it comes to the look side. How many people are scared before going up on stage? No? No one is scared? No one is scared? Usually, they say that public speaking is worse than having a root canal at a dentist without anesthesia. So people fear it as such. And lots of people, they fear it more than snakes, more than spiders, more than insects, more than anything else. Why? Anyone has an answer why or an idea why? Because on stage, you are exposed completely. Exposed. And you are so vulnerable. If you try to hide, people will feel that you are hiding something. And people I see amongst you are people who have worked in the media, have been on TV. So this stance, for example, I can see. Mrs. Azhari is having this stance. She might be cold, but the perception is that she is blocking any information I'm sending to her. This is how you read body language. Madiha did this now. If Madiha was giving me a statement, I would have doubted, Madiha might be not so convinced of what she's saying. So you need to read body language. And body language does share more feelings and emotions and information than you'll ever know. I was training a top military person. So he was the highest in rank, with 2-3 generals sitting next to him. And I asked him a question. Sir, what do you think of this military man? And he said, I love him. I said, excuse me, sir, you know, you cannot mess around and you cannot say something wrong. You have to be extremely politically correct in similar situations. I said, your face said otherwise. Are you sure that you like this guy? He said, yes, of course. I said, okay, let me show you what the camera recorded. Rewind, play, and his face was completely distorted. تشوه. بس قال أنا بحبه لهيدا الشخص الثاني. So his face told me that he was lying to me. It was obvious. And what you send out as messages non-verbally is much, much more important than what you say. What you say is of value, But if you don't say it in harmony with your body language, it has to be congruent between voice, what you say, and how you act. If these are incongruence, you succeed 100%. 100%. I cannot forget what she said about the picture of the man with the face that was a little bit blurred. I hate him. That was authentic. That was authentic. She was giving us a presentation, a big presentation, but she said, I hate him. I hate him from the bottom of her heart. Correct? It came out. It was natural. And this is what is important. So it's very important to avoid the fear on stage and to avoid all these things, to be authentic to yourself and only say what you truly believe is right. Some people ask me, Nabil, don't you teach people how to lie? I say, never. I never. On the contrary, I tell them, be true to yourselves and to your audience, because if you are untrue, they will discover it and they will say, guys, you are fake, and they will not believe a single word of what you're saying. You have to be authentic. You have to be yourselves. And many people were extremely authentic today. Extremely authentic today. And you can feel that some were more poetic, tried to play poetry. I noticed these things. And you do not register them well because you don't have the criteria yet. But you will notice them later on. You will see that some people just like to say poetry. And their tone of voice was not alive. They were monotonous. And monotony kills. It simply kills any type of communication. For those who fear stage appearance, a simple exercise. Breathe. Breathe. Just take deep breath. But make sure that you take these breaths while you're sitting down, because many people are not used to so much oxygen. So take deep breath 10 times. And trust me, you will be much calmer after this and you'll be more happy. You'll be pumped up with oxygen. Some people like Anthony Robbins, the famous public speaker, he just jumps on a little trampoline. You can do this simply by just doing this. Just warm up your body. Blood circulation works out well. And trust me, it releases the stress from your body. Never take coffee. Never ever take coffee or milk or tea before any type of appearance. No for sodas. No for carbonated soft drinks. No Pepsi, Cokes, forever, ever. Not even Perrier. Nothing. Only water, room temperature is good for you and your throat. Only water, room temperature. And if you want to eat, you eat at least 1.5 hours before your appearance. Because digestion requires lots of blood and you need lots of attention. So the blood should go here, not here. We have people in the medical field with us. They can correct me if I'm wrong. So please practice. And when you have a theater like this one, it's always good to look to all sides. And it's always good to have familiar faces in the audience. Before I came on stage, I shook hands with Mrs. Azhari. Why? She's a friend of mine on LinkedIn, but we've never met in person. So I took the initiative, introduced myself, shook her hand, thanked her for her presentation, and now when I look at Mrs. Azhari, without her knowing, she will smile back at me. Use this trick, it works. It wasn't a trick with you. I was really authentic. So you need to have these people with you in the audience. If you go to a place where you know no one, do this trick. And whenever you're on stage, always fix points. So you have the center, you have the edges. So draw a rectangle and put fixed points and go back to them. Go back to them. Them. And when you finish, everybody will feel involved and nobody will feel alienated. So the audience is all feeling that they are part of the engagement. This is how you engage your audience. Now, when it comes to any presentation, and what was lacking slightly today, if I may, Madih, it was how to engage the audience more. Because it's all about what the audience will retain. It is all about what the audience will retain from the whole day. When you step out, someone stops you, a friend, and says, "How was your day?" You will say, "It was fantastic, bombastic, amazing. The women energy was on fire." Okay, what can you tell me? What were the main messages that you got from this event? You start thinking. What were the key messages that you can take out with you? What are the takeaways? What are they? لهيك في شيء اسمه مقررات لجنة عربية، جامعة عربية، مجلس في مقررات بالآخر بيكون في وضوح 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is what we need to retain. And from any event, any conversation, make sure that before you step on stage, you have key messages that are clear to everyone and that are relevant to the audience. If they are relevant to the audience and they make sense, and you say it in a way that people can remember them, you've succeeded. You've succeeded. You've succeeded with your word. Ethics. Amazing. Madam Azhar, you've succeeded with "I hate you." And you've succeeded with a very emotional story. It was impressive because this is something that everybody will retain. If they ask you about your presentation, we will hear the story of a lady that fought her way up, after being up, then went down to rock bottom, and then she made herself again, and how she did it. And this is something that people remember because people, what do they love? Stories. They love stories. They love examples. They love to feel that these stories can be related to them. We all lived during war times in this part of the world, and we all have stories that we can share. How many have I shared up till now? What do you remember? So engage your audience. It's very important. So confidence comes from what you say, how you say it, and your voice, how you deliver this message. And this is what you will see as the secret formula that has been in place since the 60s. It is communication is 30% about your voice, 55% your body language, and 7% your words. It is also 3 V's in other definitions. It is verbal, vocal, and visual. And in order to communicate effectively, you have to have all of this. No matter how good looking you are, no matter how beautiful a voice you have, if you don't have the content, which is 7%, you have nothing. Unfortunately, in politics, it has happened in Lebanon and across the world. And the Americans did a study. فرجوا صور لمرشحين للسنت بس صور. وقالوا لهم مين بده ينجح بالانتخابات. People chose who might win the elections, and they were 88% accurate. It was only the looks that worked. Only by looking at the picture, they knew who will win the election for that area. So the looks are extremely important. And women, there's no better than women to take care of their looks. So you're safe there. I'll show you now a picture of a stance that people use. This stance is called the steeple. And this is a stance that I commonly use, especially on stage or when I'm training. If you do this, people will feel that you are confident, because one of the major questions that I'm asked is, what do I do with my hands? What do you do with your hands? What do you do with your hands? When you talk to your family, when you talk to your friends, what do you do with your hands? Especially in the Middle East, نحن حبيبي عيوني قلبي, we use our hands a lot. The Italians do that as well. However, if you do this in Britain, you'll be considered impolite because they are not as active as we are. They consider that if you use your hands a lot, it means that you do not have enough words to express yourself. And you're covering it up. It doesn't work with the Italians and the Lebanese. So you see it's males, females across the board. This is a stance that you should remember. But please, I've trained a woman who had this problem. She was so scared, so scared. She's a PhD, by the way. An amazing lady, big brain, but she was scared from stage appearances. She said, Nabil, what do I do with my hands? I said, it's simple. You just put your hands like that, and you put it, I use the term, as a parking spot. So you don't keep your car in the parking, you drive it. So you park, and then you move. You park, and then you move. Because if you keep your hands like this, you will look very arrogant. If you keep it like this. Very arrogant. Very full of yourself. So please release your hands. Then park. Women can do this. Madiha, you were doing this. So it's fine. This or this. This is very good. But please do not keep them as such. So the lady went up on stage, and all her pictures were this. Please, please, please release your hands. She was so scared. She was terrified. So her brain was not processing this. She was under huge pressure, which I understand. And it takes training. It takes training. And here comes the role of people like me. So I always put people on camera at least 5 to 6 times per day, just to make sure that they notice how they can improve and to notice their weaknesses, because you don't see yourself. And when you have a critical eye just giving you directions, you will become the worst critic of yourself. And you can take it from there on. There is the reverse steeple. This is another stance. And this is in all colors, in all shapes. So this is her stance. So I'm showing you how people use this. And now I come to the eyes. They say the eyes are the mirror to the soul. So what happens with the eyes? Tell me, who looks very confident in these pictures? Any volunteers? Leonardo? Who else? She looks very powerful. How does she look? In this picture, Miss Hadid was suffering from mental health problems, and she was talking about it. So she looked down a little bit. But who looks insecure? The prince. Look how much you read from only one picture. From one eye movement. One eye movement. And you form a perception. So please, whenever you want to appear on stage or on any interview or go to any presentation, make sure that you do the job right. That is, pay attention to these details, because they send out lots of messages. Lots of messages. One of the major problems when it comes to speech is and you start wondering what's happening. So you need always to watch out for this. How do we solve it? Any ideas how we can get rid of this Breathing. Excellent. Pause. Any musicians amongst us? Anyone who plays music? There is the sound of silence, no? Sound of silence. Da-da-da-dum. Da-da-da-dum. There's a silence. This pause is extremely powerful to give a huge anticipation to what is coming next. Silence is amazing. And the usually is accompanied by an eye movement whereby we look upwards, looking for words or looking for images or coming up with words and images. So what we do is that we have to rehearse, to prepare. If you are well prepared, you are safe. And recorded, you are safe. Yet, if you cannot find your words, you will fall into this trap. This is a big trap. And Barack Obama, who is considered an excellent speaker, he always suffered from the you know. You know, in English, there are fillers. You know. We had the minister in Lebanon in 2006 used the word يعني. In a speech of 1 minute, he used around 20 times يعني. So the minute was filled with يعنيs, but we didn't, ما عينا لنا شيء. So we didn't get anything. يعني شو? Say it, spell it out, nothing. Now I would like to play you a video about clarity, because you have to be clear in what you communicate.
We tried to predict which cadets would stay in military training and which would drop out. We went to the National Spelling Bee and tried to predict which children would advance farthest in competition. We partnered with private companies asking which of these salespeople is going to keep their jobs and who's going to earn the most money. In all those very different contexts, one characteristic emerged as a significant predictor of success. And it wasn't social intelligence, it wasn't good looks, physical health, and it wasn't IQ. It was grit. Grit is passion and perseverance for very long-term goals. Grit is having stamina. Grit is sticking with your future, day in, day out, not just for the week, not just for the month, but for years, and working really hard to make that future a reality.
شوفوا قد ايه مهم the explanation of the word grit. Grit means perseverance, but not just perseverance. It's perseverance for the long term, day in, day out. بالعربي grit is المثابرة. المثابرة. بس المثابرة المستمرة حتى تحقيق الهدف. وهذا ما أدعو النساء في العالم إليه. المثابرة المستمرة حتى تحقيق الهدف. بيبقى في سؤال، ما هو الهدف؟ هيدا السؤال بتركه لكم تجاوبوا عليه. Now, control. حكينا عن confidence، حكينا عن clarity and you saw the example. هلا رح احكي شوي عن الكنترول. To control a conversation is extremely difficult, and this is very hard when it comes to interviews and to questions from the audience. Because if you don't know what you want to say, you'll be just answering questions. But if you have clear messages in mind, you have no problem. You have a compass that will guide you all the time where to go. But if you are not ready and having key messages that are out there that are extremely clear to you and you truly believe in them, then you have a big problem. منشوف interviews على التلفزيون خصوصي، الصحافي بيكون جدا قوي، بياخد الضيف مطرح ما بده، بياخده يمين، بياخده شمال، بياخده طلوع، بياخده نزول، بيطلع المقابلة كلها البطل فيها الصحافي. أما بالنسبة لنا الناس العاديين اللي ما عندنا تي في شو عم نعمله، لا بل نحن ضيوف بهالتي في شوز، إذا ما كان نحن حاملين مسج وقدرنا نوصله، بيكون ضيعنا فرصة علينا إنه نوصل رسالتنا. I had an incident with a CEO. عملنا له interview مع CNBC عربية, which is a business channel. وكان عنده a big launch ل a project. بهيدا channel, it was the opportunity to talk about it. And it was a big challenge for him. طلبنا من ال PR team, please, do you have the key messages ready about this project? They said yes. Did you practice them with the interviewee? Yes. The guy went and he's at the helm of a multi-billion-dollar company. He's not anybody. قعد بالانترفيو نص ساعة ما جاب سيرة البروجكت once. Not once. It was a missed opportunity. Why? Because the journalist started asking about the global economy, the economy in the Middle East, and the big fancy questions, and he missed talking about the project that we secured the interview for him to talk about. So, missed opportunities. Don't waste these opportunities, please. And you can only succeed if you have your key messages in place. This is a basic PR exercise. If you don't have your messages, you should hire a PR agency to do the job. So I'm promoting PR agencies here. You have to have your core messages all the time with you. And I go to another point, is how much do we say, please? When it comes to the number of messages that you need to send out, some people say, how long should I talk? How long do you think? 3 minutes? How long? Is there a secret time? No. You talk as long as you are interesting. When you bore people to death, you're done. From the first minute, from the first second, some people don't need to talk at all. They should send emails or prepare presentation and hand them out. Public speaking is an art. And to talk in public, you need to master it. It's no joke. Otherwise, people will thank you for making them sleep. And you don't want that. So, why 3 messages and not 9? And this is against all mathematical principles. Because 3 messages, especially on TV, is the secret number that you have to repeat 3 times to get 1 message across. Because even in interviews, if you are interviewed, many people edit what you said. Even an American diplomat told me, I don't give people the choice. I give them only 1 message. So they cannot but take that message. So this is why you see diplomats coming out of major meetings and saying, عقدنا اجتماعا مهما جدا وسوف نتابع باجتماعات أخرى لتحقيق ما هو خير هذا البلد. Can you take anything out of that? No. That's it. Full stop. And this is what you hear from diplomats. It's 1 simple message. You can do the same with your work. But if you have more time and you can talk about your project, please, 3 is key. I've heard some speakers today, they dumped information on us. And dumping information is the 9 times 1 equals 0. So the more you dump information, people will retain nothing. Nothing. In presentations in controlled environments, the number 3 can become 5, the first 3. So you can go up to 5 messages during a presentation in a very limited environment. And I'll conclude by talking about 2 more things. 1, how do I advise my people to become successful public speakers? 1, people should be able to understand what you say. If they understand what you say, you're clear, number 1. 2, not only understand it, they should remember it. It should be memorable. But how do I make my messages memorable? It is through stories. It is through examples. It is through statistics. This is what makes powerful presentations and make them memorable. Another thing is to ask people to do something. I've asked you to always use your phones. I've asked you to always rehearse. I've asked you to master your appearance on stage. I'm asking you to take action. If I have the best speech ever and I ask you to do nothing, nice, well done, bravo. Okay, and after, how does it relate to me? It doesn't. Finally, you should be able to tell others about it. And this is crucial. Because in your case, you are carrying a very precious and valuable cause, Madiha. And you should be able to send out a very clear message to people to share with others. This has to be very well articulated. This has to be memorable. This has to have a call for action. And it has to be simple in words so that everybody understands it. And this is how you have a successful speaker. Now, move fast, Shabab, till the next video Sarkozy. Let's play this video, please.
Mesdames et messieurs, je vous demande de bien vouloir excuser mon retard, qui est dû à la longueur du dialogue que je viens d'avoir avec M. Poutine. Qu'est-ce que vous préférez, que je réponde aux questions? Alors, y a-t-il des questions? Allez-y. Oui, allez.
How many of you have seen this video before? Okay. Now, it happened that I was training a French CEO and whose father was in politics. And I was using this example to show that you shouldn't drink before a public appearance. And he said, Nabil, let me correct you. I was under the impression that Mr. Sarkozy was sitting with Mr. Putin. I imagined that what they served him was some caviar and 2-3 shots of vodka, and the situation was really cool, and this is how Sarkozy ended up. But you can find it on YouTube, and please look it up, because it's very important to see how much perception can be influenced by the look. Sarkozy took a very strong psychological beating. Putin threatened to destroy France during that meeting. Sarkozy was under shock, emotional shock. He didn't know how to behave. It was a dramatic situation. So he was intoxicated, but mentally intoxicated, not from any spirit. And Sarkozy does not drink. This is what I've learned. You will see a full report about it on YouTube. It's amazing because it changes your perception. This is what we call a paradigm shift. You're under an impression, and then you have something else that proves you wrong. Please do avoid verbal diarrhea. Verbal diarrhea is when you don't know when to stop. Please introduce pauses in your speech. Introduce pauses in your speech. This is something that we face with many politicians in Lebanon. Unfortunately, it's a catastrophe, but you have to listen, and suddenly you put a pause, and you don't want to listen to it anymore. Something that is amazing is the power of abstraction. When we talk about any type of concept, we talk about feminism. What is feminism? Anyone? Any volunteer? What is feminism? Feminist movement. You know, I'm sure and certain that I will hear 10 different opinions about feminism in the room. And you're all feminists. Let me give you another example from politics. That what is الديالكتيكية السياسية لتحرير المظلومين في العالم? Do you understand anything? It's Chinese. This is abstraction. If I do not put it in concrete examples, no one will get anything and everybody will interpret it the way they want. When I talk about women liberation, when I talk about giving opportunities to women, what do I mean? Give me an example. Say we have to do this and this and that to achieve this, to reach there. If I don't do that, it will be abstract. And it will be as if you're describing a forest and everybody will interpret the forest as they like. But if I say, what about the ladybird perching on a branch? Look at her, how cute. How many dark spots? Look how vividly I can describe the ladybird. That is the enemy of abstraction, and it is to give a picture, a very clear picture about what you mean. Please keep this picture in mind, it's very important. Go on until the last slide. Last slide. Yes. Here, it's extremely important to note that whenever you have presentation, you have to start with a bang. And whenever you want to end the presentation, you have to end it with a bang. Now, I will end with a quote for you. So I've written it down so that I do not forget. It is, no one can make you feel inferior without your consent. No one can make you feel inferior without your consent. This is a very important quote by Eleanor Roosevelt. But another quote attracted my attention as well. Any power without constraint will lead to abuse. So please, ladies, we beg of you, men have abused the world for so long, do not do the same. Thank you.